Hi guys, welcome to Tuesday's literacy lesson. So as our starter today, we're going to be looking at homophones. A homophone is two words that sound the same, but they've got a different meaning. So let's have a look at some examples. We've got bear and bear. So this type would be bare feet, and this time is in a grizzly bear. Witch and witch, sail and sail, road and road, eight and eight, and not and not. So can we see that these words sound the same, but they're spelt differently and have different meanings? So that is a homophone. I know we've looked at these in school before as well. Can you think of any more homophones? Have a little think. Great. Hopefully you have thought of some homophones. Good. In today's lesson, we are going to be up-leveling emotion words and understanding how a character would be feeling. So today's lesson, we've got two mini tasks to do instead of one big one. We're going to be stating different emotions a character would be feeling. We're going to be thinking of synonyms for different emotions. We're going to be giving reasons why a character might be feeling a certain way. And the top one, we're going to be creating a detailed thought brainstorm for how a character would be feeling and why. So, before we start today's tasks, I thought we can have a little discuss of our book so far. So, what has happened in Oliver Twist so far? So let's have a little recap of all of the chapters we've read so far so we're up to speed. So Oliver has left the workhouse because he asked for more. He was on the cold streets until he met the Artful Dodger. The Artful Dodger took Oliver to Fagin's den where he met Fagin and the boys. Oliver doesn't know if he can trust his new friends, so he's in a bit of a sticky situation, isn't he? And who are the important characters in our story presently? So, of course, we've got Oliver, the Artful Dodger, and Fagin, who's kind of a new character that's been introduced this week, hasn't he? Good. So, task number one is using synonyms. Now, synonyms are different words for a word. So today we're going to be thinking of synonyms for feeling words. This makes our work more exciting as well. You can complete this task on paper and then upload onto DB Primary. So for example, we have happy, scared, and sad. These are all our feeling words, but these words are a little bit boring. So we're going to be thinking of synonyms, which are different words for happy, scared, and sad. They mean the same, but they're just a different word for it. This way, it makes our work sound much more interesting. So, for example, instead of using happy, we could say joyful. We could say content. We could say cheerful, or thinking of our suffix full as well that we looked at yesterday. Or we could say merry. They all mean the same thing as happy, and actually, you know, it gives our work a bit of variety as well, instead of using all the same adjectives all the time. Instead of saying scared, we could say fearful. We could say frightened. We could use panicky, or we could use afraid. Again, these are all different words for scared. And what about sad? Have a little think. Can you think of any other words we can use instead of saying the word sad? We can use unhappy. We could use droopy. We could use glum, or we could use miserable. Now, are any of your words that you were thinking of in your head on my list? Well done if you managed to think of one of those words. Super. And I'm sure that you can think of lots more by yourself too. So this is task number one, to come up with as many synonyms for the words happy, scared, and sad. So if you'd like to pause the video and have a go at task number one first on a bit of paper, Then we can move on to task number 2 together. Moving on to task number 2. Task number 2 is to create a thought bubble for a character. You need to choose your character really wisely, as this character you're going to be working with for the whole week. So on Friday, you're actually going to be writing your own diary entry, bit of a secret. So this character, you need to choose wisely as you're going to be using it for the whole week. You could choose Oliver, or you can choose the Artful Dodger. As an example, I'm going to be choosing Oliver and doing example work about him for the week. So this is what our sheet is going to look like today. This sheet is attached on DB Primary. Or alternatively, if you would rather draw Oliver and draw the thought bubbles around him, you can do that too. So, as I said, we're looking at diary entries. And one big thing about diary entries are thoughts and feelings. So I thought in order to really get that in today and to make sure we use them this week, we're going to create a thought brainstorm for the character we're going to be writing the diary entry about. I'm going to think about some of the things that Oliver Twist would be thinking about. We might be able to use some details from the text, or we might be able to just be really creative and imaginative. The first thought bubble I think that Oliver might have would be, I wonder if I will ever have a home again. As we know, Oliver got kicked out of the workhouse and he's on the streets. So maybe he's thinking along the lines of, is he ever going to have a home again? So that could be one thought in Oliver's head. Another thought is, Mr. Bumble is a mean man for chucking me out of the workhouse. Maybe Oliver's feeling a little bit cross and frustrated that he was thrown out of the workhouse. Good. Another thought Oliver could have might be, can I trust the Artful Dodger? We've just been introduced to this character, and I think that's quite a valid point that maybe Oliver doesn't know if he can trust him. Can I trust the Artful Dodger? And the last thought I'm going to write for Oliver is, I wish for a delicious feast with chicken and gravy. Now, some of these thoughts I've had to be quite imaginative and creative. For example, the feast. I know that Oliver's normally quite hungry because he's poor and living on the streets. So I've imagined, well, maybe he might be thinking about all the delicious food that he wants to eat. Okay, also, I've thought that, since Mr. Bumble chucked him out of the workhouse, then I'm guessing that Oliver doesn't really like him and thinks he's mean. So use the details from the book and your imagination when filling this sheet out today. So now I've done an example, you're going to have a go at doing task 2, a thought bubble for your character. Remember, make sure you choose wisely at which character you would like to do. Good luck. See you tomorrow. Bye.